Beef dripping is really making a comeback. I've got a fair bit of salt going on. Today, we only just heard that there's a chippy that cooks in beef dripping in the middle of Preston.
It's the Chippy Tour.
Right, okay, just over my shoulder here, you can see we're at Victoria Chippy. Now, we've come all the way to Preston. It's about 40 minutes drive from Warrington. Now, it's the only one we know in Preston that cooks in beef dripping. So I'm really surprised. So we had to come and check it out and see what it was all about. So let's get straight into it. First thing I want to do is I want to get into this fish. We had these things wrapped separately. Lovely, lovely people in there. Right, okay, so I'm going to put this onto here. That's the fish. How does that look? Beef dripping. Let's have a look at these chips. He chips them every day himself. And they're quite dark, but that's how my wife likes hers too. So I'm going to put a load of chips on here, and my wife can go and have the rest of these with her fish. Right, okay. So how are we looking? Now, we fired that pan up with the beef dripping in it, especially for us. Normally does it on a Friday, which is, you know, most of the day on a Friday that he's open. I think he shuts it off at about 7 o'clock at night. Any other time during the week, give him a bit of notice. Not if you just want a sausage or something like that, you know, because you're going to have to fire the pan up for that, isn't he? But if you want like fish and chips and a few other bits, give him a ring about 20 minutes or so before, so he can get the fat nice and hot. And that's all he's asking. So you're not stood around for. He'll still do it if you just turn up, but it means you're standing around for a while. And like I say, make sure it's a bit of an order. Make it worth his while. We're on Haddock. See, my wife's in her element, like I was saying. Whereas I'll eat it any old way. You know that. Could cook it in Castrol GTX for all I care. Well, a bit of an exaggeration. But my wife does like it with beef dripping, and we've come all this way because we only found out today, like I said. My wife was in a real mood for beef dripping. So I'm expecting people to go from miles around to this place. That is delicious. That is really nice. The batter is nice and light. The fish is fresh and flaky and moist.
Delicious.
You happy?
Yeah.
My wife's ordered gravy for her fish and chips. So let me have a look at this. We got the fish itself at £5.50 each. We've got a large battered sausage, which I'll get into in a minute, and that's £1.20. We've got small gravy at £1.55 and a small mushy peas made in-house for £1.55. A couple of cans of pop, spam fritter, and miscellaneous sales. That'll be the chips, large chips at £4.50. Altogether, £24.90. So get some more of this fish. Now, I'm not going to lie, the shop does need an update. It really does. But it's got everything he needs. It's all set out how he needs, and he's producing some great food. So, right, so let's go with this battered sausage. I'm going to break that in half. Now, this battered sausage, it looks like it's a sausage that's actually already been cooked thoroughly. I think it might have been on from the range, I'm not too sure. Definitely cooked, and then put in the batter. So you get a lot of people who just cook them straight from the fridge, not frozen, but straight from the fridge. So they get a little bit of a cooking. And some people part cook them. Well, this one's been thoroughly cooked, and it's still really nice. I think if it had been oil, it wouldn't have been as nice for me. Now the gentleman does a lot for the community. It is very dark, a little darker than I would have liked, but like I say, it's not burnt in any way. Oh. Oh, a little bit too much salt got onto that then. And you'll be surprised. Spam, it's not good for you, no. But it's not as bad as people think it is. I dare you to watch a documentary on it and see how it's put together. So anyway, in the summer, he makes little £1 bags of chips for the kids and stuff like that. That is a delicious gravy. There's nothing going to be wasted from this today. Definitely. I'll go with a bit more of this snagger in here. I've got a fair bit of salt going on. Look at them. Perfect. Nice and subtle. Yeah, really nice. So, beef dripping is really making a comeback. Obviously, you've got certain religions, you've got vegans, you've got vegetarians, and some people who just don't like the taste of meat. Well, you're not really getting that, to be honest with you. Halal beef dripping is even sold. So, you know, they're catering for those religions. I love beef dripping. I really do. And you know that by now. But I'll eat anything. And you know that by now. So it's back to the computer. I'm going to look at some reviews. A low one somewhere in the middle. And mine. We'll see you there. Yeah, so when we heard there was a beef dripping chippy in Preston, about 40 minutes from us here in Warrington, we just had to get out there and check it out. If you know of any other beef dripping chippies around Preston, in Preston, let me know in the comments. Also let me know what you think of beef dripping. And let me know if you'd have gravy on fish. Now a lot of people do. I was brought up on it. And a lot of people in the north do. I've heard, and if you're in the south, that getting gravy in fish and chip shops is an absolute nightmare. You just can't get it in a lot. So let's get on with this. 1 star. Got home to half the order missing. 2 sausages, peas and gravy missing. Not difficult really. Paid 14 quid for 2 chips and gravy as everything else was missing. 3 star. The chips that were cooked properly were good, but unfortunately both of our portions had several raw chips. The mushy peas were also hard. 5 star. Always enjoyed the fish and chips from here, so the other night I had to try their latest addition, fish and chips cooked in beef dripping. I think there was only 2 reviews that had mentioned the beef dripping side of things. Now, they cook in oil, primarily, but they have a separate pan for the beef dripping. It's absolutely on another level. Great flavour chips and crispy fish batter, 10 out of 10. Telephone order as I left work in Chorley and they were ready just as I arrived. Took back to Chorley and still piping hot with some extra wrapping and an insulated bag. Mine, 4 star. Having heard about a beef dripping chippy in Preston that day, we drove 45 minutes to try it for ourselves. Sure enough, they cook in beef dripping for most of the day on Fridays, cutting off about 7 o'clock, I believe. And on other days, if you give them around 20 minutes notice or are willing to wait. The shop was tidy and the staff were welcoming and chatty. I ordered fish and chips and it was haddock on the day, along with battered sausage, a spam fritter, gravy and mushy peas. My one issue was with the beef dripping. It needed filtering, it was quite dark, and it gave the food a darker appearance. Otherwise, this would have been top marks from me. That said, it was still a very good chippy and one I would return to. The battered sausage and spam fritter were just on the edge of being overcooked. It was borderline, but they were still tasty, and it made for a crispier batter, I guess. The gravy was delicious, and the mushy peas were exactly how I liked them. That's thick, and subtle in flavour. The chips were plentiful and had a nice flavour, although again, they'd gone over to the dark side. Overall, there are a lot of positives here, with the only negatives centred around the condition of the beef dripping. I would happily return if passing again. Cash or card, fish reviewed, Haddock. We'll see you on the next one.
Oh, na na na, it's the Chippy Tour, cruising the coast, can't ignore. With every bite, I'm loving it more. Saving the chippies, that's what I'm for. Yo, I hit the road, got salt in my veins. From London to Scotland, through sunshine and rain. Fish and chips in my hand, it's a noble quest. Supporting the classics, yeah, I'm doing my best. Met a bloke in Troon with a tempura squid. A castle in Wales where I had my bid. From mushy peas to battered Mars bar. A culinary Johnny, I'm a food rock star. I'm the Chippy Tour, tasting it all. Beef fritter scraps, yeah, I answer the call. Savory scallops, deep fried dreams, keeping chippies alive, that's my team. Biggest fish, battered sausage on a roll. Fish cakes so good they'll nourish your soul. Squid so crispy, prawns in a crunch. A battered mushroom makes the perfect brunch. Deep fried pizza, yeah, wacky delight. Curry sauce pouring tartar inside. But every sharp story, it cuts kinda deep. As chippies fade away, it's hard not to weep.